Hi, it's Locker here, and I'm not responding to an email this time, but to a comment on an earlier video. I feel prompted to make these little recordings whenever I feel an answer like bursting from within me, particularly to questions that get asked a lot or comments that get made a lot. Now, the things that I'm going to be addressing in this recording pertain to Dante and the videos that he makes. Now, I'm going to put the qualification here that I'm not speaking on behalf of Dante. I'm not speaking on behalf of the cause. I am speaking on my interpretation, my response to Dante's videos that he puts out. Okay, so what I'm going to say is not official. It is only my perspective. So I just need to put that out there so that nobody misunderstands my words that I'm going to say. So this conversation continues from the earlier recording that I made about the exhaustion of being human, of the tired souls. And I didn't expect that video to answer every nuance of human life, because we are a multitude, and for as many individuals as there are on this planet, there are unique circumstances. But this commentator, person who commented, they asked these following questions, and I want to take time to dive into them and flesh them out a bit. Okay. The first question is asked that Dante has said in one of his more recent videos, and I'm not sure which one this is. They all kind of merge together in my own mind after a while. But this commenter has quoted, "Don't take your own life, because you will likely find yourself at your own funeral and at the funerals of those you love." So the commenter asks, what does this mean? And to respond to that, I need to take a detour. I need to introduce you to a group that is complementary to Dante's group. Okay, I'll backtrack a bit. What Dante offers with his videos is what I consider to be a modern-day mystery school, like they had in ancient times, where it's not a school like you would enroll in, like university or tech college, where you have a curriculum, you have, you do the work, you pass the tests, you continue. A mystery school is individualized to the participant. You get out of it how do I say this? It doesn't speak to your rational mind. It speaks to your subconscious, to your soul, to your heart, to your cosmic mind. Okay, so it's going underneath your logical, rational mind, like a dream. Okay, like poetry, like art, kind of touches you in places that moves you. And that's why Dante has designed the videos the way he has, particularly the earlier ones, not so much the recent ones, where he's like more here and now, but the ones where he's opening up the doorway to the larger realities. So a mystery school, that's how I consider whenever I approach any of Dante's videos. Now, there is another mystery school that is complementary, but it takes it in a slightly different direction. And this complementary school is, I've determined from the evidence that I've been able to put together, is run by another off-world group, the ones that you might know as the Anunnaki. Okay, now I know there are many going to be listening who are resistant to the Anunnaki, who consider them the matrix makers, the bad guys, the puppet masters. I'm going to go into that in another time, okay? But it's like saying all Europeans are bad or all Asians are bad. There's pockets. There's pockets with different agendas, okay? But this particular mystery school run by the Anunnaki is called 𝚿𝚿𝚿𝚿𝚿𝚿𝚿𝚿𝚿𝚿 or 𝚿𝚿𝚿𝚿𝚿𝚿. And I'll put a link to their main website underneath. But they have... Okay, back up. Dante represents the Christus, and they're the peacekeepers. They're the ones that protect humanity from over-control of the... Well, I've heard them called the regressives, so I'll stay with that terminology. The regressive races that want to harness humanity for its own power base, for its own control. But the Anunnaki are the ones who have been tasked with the development of humanity. So on one hand, you've got the protectors, and on the other hand, you've got the teachers. So 𝚿𝚿𝚿𝚿 is the teaching school, the ones who will lift you, show you the dynamics of your own inner workings. And now some of you are going to say, yeah, we've got all this in other works. Okay, you can use the Bible, you can use the Quran, you can use any number of spiritual works. Why is this different? Okay, well, I guess it depends on how large your horizons of reality have stretched to. Okay, so I would consider the teachings of the 𝚿𝚿𝚿𝚿 group to be somewhat like Jedi teachings. Okay, they show you your own personal power and how you work against it. And I would venture to guess that in the development of this planet's civilizations, that a lot of these Anunnaki teachings have made it into the spiritual books of today, the major ones. Anyway, so going back to this original question, don't take your own life because it's likely that you'll find yourself at your own funeral. What that means, my interpretation, remember? My interpretation, not official. But from what I've ascertained from the 𝚿𝚿𝚿 teachings, when you take your own life, when you return, your life force is diminished. It is not as great as it would have been if you had continued with your life and developed yourself. Okay, so it's like there are, I guess, energetic vampires who... Oh, this is going to be a tangle. I'm scratching my head because this is just... okay, it's massive. It's massive. It's a kaleidoscope. Where do you dive in? Okay, but suffice to say that whatever the dynamics are for this is that you come back with a diminished life force. So that if you do this over a number of lifetimes, your life force will always keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So your own funeral, you'll likely find yourself at your own funeral. It's like you're committing not only physical suicide, but soul suicide as well. Okay, so I really want you to consider hanging in there. It's like when I had my own crisis in my early 20s and I was just about ready to reset my life, dive into my next incarnation because I just wasn't impressed with how I was handling, or I wasn't impressed with the circumstances I found myself in. I was hitting my head against the same brick walls again and again and again and again. And I was tired of that game. I just wanted a restart. A fresh environment. Okay, what I realized was that I'm here to learn certain lessons. And if that's the case, then it was up to me to roll my sleeves up and get to work on them. I'm going to share with you another insight that was profoundly helpful for me. And it's very simple. And it's going to take a bit of explanation. But where you hurt is where you need to heal. those pain points that keep recurring in your life, that's an indication of your lessons. And that's where I was making the mistake. I didn't see those as lessons. I just thought of this as a perverse game where life was meant or was out to torment me and hold me back and keep me prisoner. But where you hurt is where you need to heal. So in your body, when you've got, when you're feeling pain, it's a signal to your consciousness that your wholeness has been breached, that you have been injured and that you need to do something to make it whole. Okay, you need to take remedial action to restore that wholeness. In your heart, in your soul, in your emotions, that's the same principle. So pain is drawing attention to where your integrity, to where your wholeness has been broken. Okay, so for me, it stopped me wallowing in my pain and it stopped my pity parties. Instead, I would ask myself, I learned to ask myself, where do I feel vulnerable? How is this wound affecting me? Okay, and this is totally regardless of how the wound was inflicted, whether it was by circumstances or by individuals, okay, or internally. But where I hurt, I needed to take responsibility for the healing of it. And it was this that helped me to navigate through circumstances that previously would have had me in the woe is me, isn't life awful, isn't life terrible, can't trust anybody. And that's one of the teachings that I try to make sure I impart to as many people on this planet before it's my time to go. I don't have a lot of patience for people who enjoy being miserable. I'm sorry, I can be quite cold-hearted, but my intention is to lift you, is to sometimes take you by the shoulders and just give you a good shake to help you break out of your pattern of thinking, of your patterns of emotional responding. And far too many people enjoy being miserable, enjoy their pain. And look, I get it. I love a good pity party. I miss them. I really do. It takes a lot of effort to, to shed a few poor me tears these days. Usually a bit of red wine helps and a soppy movie, maybe some soppy songs to remind me of how I used to be. And sometimes you just need a good emotional clearing, I think. Oh, that's my excuse and I'm sticking to that. But for most people, that's the cloud that they carry around themselves. Okay? But I want to really emphasize to anyone who's listening now that it's your choice to have that cloud around you. It's not locked to you. It's not forced upon you. The way you respond to it, that's your choice. That's your power. Okay, so I'll leave that question there. The commenter also asks another question. That Dante said, we keep coming back here over and over. Does it ever end? Okay, my response to that, and again, I'll remind you that it's my own personal response. This is not on behalf of the cause at all, or on behalf of Dante. My understanding is that what you take away with you from this planet is what is the same momentum, I guess, the same patterns that you've taken on board that you will then deposit into your next life. It's not random. I really believe we choose our own incarnations according to our own criteria. So if you take baggage with you, then you're going to create baggage in your next life to work through. Okay, as I said before, we're here to learn certain lessons. And for myself, I'd rather keep learning new lessons. I want to keep expanding. I want to keep stretching my horizons. Now, if you believe that this planet is the only place that you can reincarnate, then yes, you'll keep coming back here over and over because you don't realize that there's other levels that you can explore in future lives. Okay? So that's one of the things that made a huge difference for me when I discovered Dante's teachings. And I mentioned that that I was the door to my birdcage was opened and I could see that there were larger horizons, other levels, other planets, other beings, other lessons. Okay, so that's in response to that question. Another question the commenter asks, Earth is a trap and the bad guys are out to enslave us here. And they continue, well, what if they do? Is it for eternity? So, okay, a few nuances here. I know in his videos, Dante will often have that slide up that says Earth, or this is a prison planet. Reality is a prison. Okay, I think that's it. Reality is a prison. And I must say, if there's anything I disagree with, whenever I come across it, it's that. Because since my own turning point back in my early 20s, life for me has become a playground. It's an adventure playground. Okay, and yeah, the adventures can certainly get serious. But I'm talking not like frivolous adventures, but like mythic adventures, mythic quests. And yes, there will be dragons. Yes, there will be life-threatening situations. Okay, but okay, so something's just come to mind that I want to throw in here. Your resistance is what creates friction. Your resistance is what stops you thinking of the solutions. Okay, when you say it's not fair, it shouldn't be happening, they shouldn't be allowed to do this, okay, you're digging your heels in about the circumstances that you're in. And when you stop doing that, you can then observe with more detachment. You can make better assessments of the situation, and you are more open to inspiration for how to remove yourself or move forward from any situation that is challenging for you, that is testing you, that is pushing your pain points. So the earth is a trap only for those who see it as a trap. Now that's the trap. Oh dear. I love the absurdities of life, the paradoxes. They delight me. But I hate to see people stuck and trapped. I'm trying to think of another term that I could use so I don't keep repeating that, but I'd have to open up a thesaurus for that, and I don't want to do that. Okay, so the earth is a trap and the bad guys are out to enslave us. Okay, well, let's talk about the bad guys for a while. I recently came across the idea that if duality didn't exist, so if good and bad didn't exist, then we wouldn't have free will. We have to be able to make choices. Okay, so I value free will very highly, and I'm sure many of you also do that. And I would venture to guess that many of you get frustrated with the idea that your free will is compromised, is taken away from you. But the bad guys have free will as well. Okay, you have to remember that. They have free will as well, and they can do whatever they bloody well want. Australianism there. But they can do whatever the heck they want to. But you don't have to take it. When I was at primary school, when I was 7, 8, 9, 10, I was a bully. I was one of those people that would push, and yes, I dare to laugh at that. I was very curious to observe when people would draw the line for themselves and say, enough, enough, go away, piss off, stop bothering me. Okay, I suspect I came in with a psychologist's mindset, because that's the career that I developed in my early adulthood after the intervention. And your soul, okay, it's also putting you in this environment of the bad guys who are pushing you. They can push you back into a corner, back against a wall. But what does it take? How much rubbish will you put up with before you say enough? That you take that stand, and that you step out of your smallness, that you step out of your victim mindset. Okay, so it's almost like a psychic chisel that is chipping away at that cloud, at that illusion of smallness and helplessness that you have. Okay, now this leads then into the final comment that this person made. Dante said that the goddess created evil because we need it, that without evil we would be enslaved to love. Okay, now I don't recall that particular quote, but okay, the goddess created evil because we need it, and that is so we can, as I've alluded to already in this conversation, we strengthen our free will. We strengthen our power. And that where we hurt, we need to heal. And whatever hurts us, does that necessarily fall in the evil category? I think it mainly falls in the emotionally clumsy category. But is there outright evil? Oh, yeah, I believe there is. But it's a question that I'd prefer to explore another day. But the second part of that question, without evil, we would be enslaved to love. If everything is just love, if everything is just all harps and rainbows, I know for myself, I would be bored out of my brain. One of the reasons that I resist the idea of heaven is that I can't see the fun of heaven. Now, fun for me is one of my highest values. And yes, fun is a value, and I'll talk more about that another time. But, okay, with the two dynamics operating in this world at a spiritual war level, one has the end goal of freedom, and the other has the end goal of I'm feeling it. I'm trying to articulate it, but it's like being absorbed into a homogeneous mass, where everyone is the same, where there is no free will. Basically, you become part of the hive mind. The hive mind, where no deviation is permitted, no expression of individuality is permitted, no individuality of thought, of emotion, of action. Okay, everything is streamlined, coordinated, and everyone's just part of the one. And this is why I don't like ascension, because this oneness is the reverse of how you see nature. Nature doesn't come back to a oneness. Nature is always spreading out, always diversifying, always expanding. So, okay, I was hesitating because I'm wondering whether to talk about something now or to postpone it. But okay, we've got the hive mind on one set. Okay, and I know for myself, I've often resisted groups. I've often resisted joining organizations because there was something within me that just resisted that, being drawn into that hive mind. But now with the cause, with Dante, what I've come to realize is that there's a team mind. made up of individuals, made up of people who are in their full power but cooperating. Okay, now that team mind is greater than the sum of its parts. So it's expansive, it's life-affirming, whereas the other type of cohesion, the hive mind, is life-destroying. Okay, so that being enslaved to love, okay, for me, that conjures up that hive mind set. So that's my response to that comment or that question. As a final paragraph, the commenter has written, Has Dante ever clearly said that we get out of here? If yes, where did he say we go? Is there anywhere we can go at some point that will be just filled with peace and love? Well, again, this is my response. I'm not speaking on behalf of Dante or of the cause. This is my understanding only. Has Dante ever clearly said that we get out of here? I haven't heard that he has, but I can't imagine that, as I said before, this is a prison. If you feel that your soul can soar into other planes, into other realities, that is where you'll go. That's my understanding. So I have plans for my incarnations that do not include Earth, that do not include this planet. And while it's a delightful planet, a beautiful planet, there are lessons that I desire to learn that are beyond this plane. So in response to if Dante said, yes, we can get out of here, where did he say we go? Well, I would answer that we go wherever we choose to go. Is there anywhere we can go at some point that will be just filled with peace and love? Okay, now, I would say, yes, there are realms that you can go to, that you can incarnate on, that are filled with peace and love. Now remember, don't go hurrying this incarnation, this upcoming incarnation, because you are here to learn certain lessons, roll your sleeves up, learn them. Don't take that baggage with you, okay? Whatever is hurting you at this point, leave that here, leave that behind you. Don't carry it forward into your future incarnations. So if you can learn, if you can move through your here and now challenges to get at that point, to get to that point where you are filled with peace and love here and now, yes, you can stay in that center. You can stay in that center as long as you want. It's the center of the storm, okay? And once you've learned how to calm that center, how to retreat to that center, you can do so whenever you desire to do so. And you can make that a permanent thing, if that's in your nature to want, to desire, or you can have it as a time out when the adventures get too much, or you can have it as a safe place that you can go to when the storm outside is just too great. Okay, so what people generally fail to understand is that they have the power within them to create whatever they desire, whatever they require. Okay, we have to get away from this helplessness that we need to be rescued. We need for other forces to come in and stop the bullying forces. Okay, to stop that which keeps us hurting. That has to come from you. You are the flower. You are the plant. I guess a flower sounds more artistic, creative, or whatever. But you are that force, that being that grows, that strengthens, that expands. And whenever you have thoughts that stop that inhibit that, it's like a rose bush being angry at the gardener for not providing the fertilizer they need. It's kind of a dumb analogy. I might delete that. But you're not as helpless as a rose bush. Okay, you have more, you have free will. You can move yourself into a part of the garden that has already what you need in the soil. Why stay? If you've got that freedom to relocate yourself, if you've got okay, now just something that's come to mind. A lot of people keep themselves stuck because they don't make decisions. So for someone who's in pain, for someone who feels trapped, what decisions do you want someone else to make for you that you should be making for yourself? A lot of people now are expecting Dante to make their decisions for them. They're not his decisions to worry about. They're your decisions. If they affect you, they're your decisions. And that means making some very uncomfortable ones. But that is how you find your freedom. That is how you find the peace and love in your life. As you can tell, I can always find another tangent to wax lyrical on. So I'll finish it here. But thank you for your comments. Thank you for listening. Ciao and cheers. Bye.